And so it's the morning of the 7th of April, a particularly charged up morning. Volkswagen has invited some of us to test the new GTI on the exciting tracks of Dubai Autodrome. We just finished the safety briefing and the briefing on the car. So today we should be using the club circuit, which is around 2.46 kilometers per lap. So about 4 laps intended, the first one being a familiarity lap. Now, while we go on the warm-up lap, let me just tell you a little more about the car. So the instructor has got him. The acceleration from a GTI starts with its looks, yet again. There are some nice touches, like the 5 fog lamps that form an X, or the wide and narrow honeycombs on the lower grille. The roof spoiler, diffuser and 2 very round, thick, emphatic tailpipes, pushed wide apart, making up a befittingly sporty rear. The rear LED elements, sequentially numbered, are really cool. First thing you notice in this cabin, it's all digital. Right from choosing the driving mode to this little gear shift lever, somewhere between a lever and a button. The new Volkswagen GTI is lower, longer and even more dynamic than its predecessor. 18-inch Richmond alloy wheels, 19-inch, because that's what the Middle East customers get. And the first thing you notice about the driving is smooth. But as I always say, the proof is in the driving. And is it just smooth? Let's find out. In the case of the GTI, the proof is in the racing. The engine is a 2-liter turbocharged 4-pot. There's an increased injection pressure from 200 bars to 350. So it's been worked out a bit. 245 horsepower, yeah, you begin to hear that. And 370 Newton meters of torque. 0 to 100 in 6.4 seconds on the way to a top speed of 250 kilometers per hour. Well, that isn't clearly the target today, as Ramsey will be exercising a little caution here that a bunch of exuberant motoring journalists just don't get carried away, or carried back, should I say. Because clearly we motorheads never really grow out of our teenage. Like I might have held the throttle a little longer and braked in late, given a chance, you know. But he's just left a nice distance on the laps, which I'm sure will get reduced as soon as he lifts the embargo on speed. Yeah. Nice. 850 meters at a stretch, just short of way short of a kilometer, but good enough to start off with a good, I think the speed have touched 160 or a bit less. It's a warm-up lap anyway. Now inside too, it's clearly a different car. Outside of the track, I would have said plenty about the digital transformation of the GTI. The cool glossy black screens with the black and red dials, with narrow and wide honeycomb motifs, just like the grille. Sporty honeycombs, if I may. I did tell you that the touch experience is of a different kind. Instead of buttons, almost everything that was once controlled by a turn or a twist is now done by a digital touch. And again, outside I would have talked about how 2 smartphones can be simultaneously paired in the new GTI. Of course, here I'm more mindful of the G meters, turbo pressure and all that. In my comprehensive review, I guess I'll be talking more about the wireless charging, but here I'm bothered only about the shift-by-wire technology of the 7-speed dual-clutch gearbox. Well, many of you petrol heads will find to your horror that the gear lever has shrunk I've shifted to the sport mode. And it sustains. Steady brake. Well, my speedo showed a bit more, but I guess the sat nav says a bit, you know, of course, I mean, it always shows a bit less than what the speedo shows. The ground speed. I'm now on sport mode. Yeah, initially just till the first stretch, the straight. I had been on the regular mode. Yeah, so something between a button and a lever, that's what the new gear stalk is. I mean, gear shifter is. But you have an option. Just appreciate how cool it is along with your PSP wielding offspring or brother. Or just glue your hand to the paddle shifters. Yeah, back again. On this drive I'm just going automatic, but still it's good enough to get me to over 190 kilometers per hour. In fact, I would have, actually done it a bit quicker if I could have maintained much less distance, or probably there wouldn't be, there was no lead car. The suspensions have been tweaked, spring rates have increased 5% in front and 15% in the rear. I say smoother slide, stiffer ride. There comes it. Indeed, smoother slide. Another important change is the front axle differential lock that sends up to 100% torque to the wheel with the traction for those times when a front wheel drive has lost its grip in one wheel. The new GTI has adaptive chassis control, suspensions, steering and engine response can be tweaked to stiff neck, backache, training day or game for anything. Back again, yeah. Yay. Will I touch 200? Well, no, this time quick coming down. It was more like 197 on the speedo, but on the ground speed, yeah, it's much less. Now, thanks to the locking differential, there's absolutely no need to worry about understeer in fast corners. It's improved, and the steering is way easier too with what they call progressive steering, and it just takes 2.1 turns for a full circle, in a manner of speaking. The agile handling, the quickness of reaction times, the smooth glide into corners, yay! Almost too smooth for a scream. So I've just missed the 200 mark, but what else am I missing? The sound. It really sounds sweet. It's not just sporty, but it's refined too. But you know what? You in the GTI, refined? You expect it to be more raw, sputter, boom. Yeah. So actually the racing laps are over. Now these are just cooling laps just before we head back to the pit stop. The garage. Now especially when the new GTI really affords you the time to enjoy the great sound. you could have had much more of those, the bang and the boom coming in, because there is a little less for you to do actually, the way this car maintains its sharpness and accuracy. No, it's like you're challenging yourself to, come on, make a slip. Well, there is a way, probably just switch off all the nanny coddling. But I'm sure that's not exactly how you would do it on an official Volkswagen media track day. Yeah, so for the full drive experience, specifications and trim levels and price, check out drivemeonline.com and wait for my review video on the Drive Me Online YouTube. In the meanwhile, for another hot from the oven launcher review, follow me on Insta, Drive Me Online. Got some ways, a bit more to go, but those of you who really want to sign off can do that, because this is going to be a sleepy cruise down to the pit stop, to the garages. I keep saying pit stop. Well, it's a GTI, can't help it. The racetrack is a pit stop in between, daily life. To charge up, especially when you're driving the new GTI.